Yeah, here we are. Happy Friday. Well, happy whatever day it is when you catch this message. So I asked God, I said, well, what is it that we need to talk about? And he said, well, what are you doing? Working on breaking a bad habit. Oh, yeah, that's what pleases God. Because he said it's time. Yeah, another eye opening experience. I said, okay, we're ready then. We need to break this bad habit. So I'm going to give you all the how to's because I asked God, I was like, well, how am I going to? Oh, wait a minute. Is to utilize the same activities that I utilize to quit smoking cigarettes and vaping. So we're gonna we're gonna break this down for you all. So yeah, there we go. We're gonna break this down for you all because it works. Tried and true techniques and more. Okay. So I am checking out the background here. I'm still troubleshooting a little bit on the focus, if you will. Okay. So it, I'm not going to stress about it. It is what it is. But I have noticed that. Yeah. Okay. So we're good. We're good. And I want y'all to know that these tried and true techniques, it works because, well, what do we know, right? Yeah, that we can do anything we set our mind to. Okay? Yeah. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance. Where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency for healthier living. And I understand that some of this, yes, hello, happy Friday to you too. I don't know how many people are going to be interested in learning these tips. So I'm going to give y'all a few minutes. Make sure you have something to take notes with because this is exactly how God guided my step to do this. So, right, because it's mental. It starts mentally, okay? So set your mind to something. You're like, okay, it's time to break this bad habit. And so, well, yes, while we're combating radio frequencies for healthier living, we can break these bad habits. We all have bad habits. And so when we get into God's reality, it's time for us to break those. Because those bad habits, well, I mean, basically, a lot of survivors of the abuse and traumatization turn to substances to cope with the traumas. And we know this. And then there are those of us who come from a family that normalized, for example, drinking alcohol every day. I happen to come from one of those families. Yeah, the Jezebel who gave birth to me, her side of the family, not of her family members, but yeah. Okay, there you go. Comfort eating is a bad habit. That's right. And so I will share with you all this is deep. So how do we break, for those of us that are in the process of breaking the bad habit with, alcohol, if you will, there are some things we have to unlearn, especially if we come from a family, one at least one side. Okay, remember my biological dad, he went to rehab when I was 8 years old and been clean ever since. That's a long time. Because I'm in my mid-40s now. So it's not his side of the family. No. It's the Jezebel who gave birth to me. Her side of the family. And again, not all her family members, but a good majority of them. And I remember growing up, we're going to cover the comfort eating as well, okay? Because that is a real thing. That's another trauma coping method. And this how to break bad habit technique I'm going to share with you all is, well, yeah, it's tried and true because I had started on it once before. And yeah, and it was working. But the timing wasn't right because of some additional things that I hadn't discovered about these bruises yet. But there's some mental thing, old belief system that we've got to unlearn. And so one of them for myself and anyone else who needs this is to write it down. It is not normal to drink alcohol every day. No. But those of us who come from a family that normalized it, yeah, we got to unlearn that because it's not. Because we're no longer needing any kind of external coping method for trauma anymore. We got to remind those of us who are fully healed, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically, okay? Yeah, once we reach that, okay? No, I don't, actually. I mentally understand that my physical body has the dependency, not my spiritual body and not my mind. There's a difference. It's like I know full well I don't have to have it. Because when I was a truck driver, I didn't do that every day. I couldn't. So I know mentally, I know I don't have to have it. It's a matter of right. And God revealed to me, he said, okay, get a notebook. Got myself one of my little notebooks. Okay, so y'all, however it is that you take notes, okay? But the first step is being able to tally out how many drinks you're drinking in the evening. Tally it out. Write it down. Okay? Set a limit. Because you have to lower your tolerance. That's what happens when survivors get addicted to, or their physical body becomes dependent, even though mentally they're like, I know I don't need this. Right? And so you got to tell yourself the first step. Okay, let's back up a little bit. Right, let's back up a little bit. The first thing is you got to make up your mind that you want to break that bad habit. Okay, that's number one. Write that down. Okay, you got to make up your mind that you got to break that bad habit. Okay, you got to make up your mind. And that's what we spent a good majority of the morning and afternoon doing today. Because it does. You have to get it. It's like part of purging that subconscious of old beliefs. So I asked God, I said, okay, so what are some beliefs about the alcohol that I need to purge? Because I know I've been there in that subconscious mind because of the social influence I'm no longer around that anymore. So it's time to break it. Because there was a time in the beginning of the physical healing that, yeah, helped sleeping. It was nice. But we don't need it for that anymore. So I want y'all to do that kind of assessment also. Okay, if you are healed, okay, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically, okay, you are reconnected in mind, body, and spirit. Okay, well then we don't need those as coping methods anymore. So that, right, okay, and so that was one a part of the old belief system. I wrote it down. I've got myself one of these post-it sticky, right? And I wrote down 5 beliefs, okay? One of them was that I don't need it to cope with trauma anymore. Nope. I don't need it to sleep anymore. Glory be to God. Yeah, and then I also wrote down that it is not normal. Because, right, I come from that environment with the social influence who, for the majority of my life that I can remember, she, every evening. So, it became normalized in my subconscious mind. That's what happens to a lot of us that go through that. And this can be done with any bad habit, you all. Any bad habit. It starts mentally, and then you got to physically write these things down when you think about an old belief system that got hammered into your subconscious because it was so normalized during the traumatization and the abuse, and because of these influences that we were around. Remember, God is very adamant about lest we become like them, right? Okay. And so we've made the decision that it's time to break that bad habit so we can break the physical body's dependency on it. It doesn't mean, God doesn't say don't have a glass of wine every once in a while, because believe it or not, there are some health benefits to red wine. But it's just a matter of the excess. And that was not every day either. Okay. But over the last week, there's been a couple of days where I was like, hold up a second. We got to do something. So, because part of the old habit, what is alcohol associated with? Celebrating, right? And so my subconscious mind, because we're making progress, okay, we're making good progress in the detox and feeling better. And so the subconscious was in a celebratory mood. So there would be another thing to remind ourselves of, that we don't need alcohol to celebrate. Just give ourselves a pat on the back and get some apple juice. Things like that. But that's something else, because the matrix normalizes that. And I'm going to get to the chat, okay, in just a moment. But I want to get this to you all so that you can write these things down. Breaking bad habits. Start with mental. You got to make up your mind that you want to break that bad habit. Because that's how I quit smoking. That's why God said, I want you to start with that same technique, because it's tried and true. It works. You got to get it in the mental, get it in the subconscious. Remember, the subconscious mind can be reprogrammed through that repetition. So I just stay focused. And I said, all right, I got to break this bad habit. It's time. And I said, okay, we're going to start in the mental, make up our mind. We got ourselves a little notepad to tally out. We set a limit. We set a limit because we know that we went over that. And I said, we don't want to be doing that. Because I remember when I first landed here, that was one of my things, my goals. But I just didn't know what all was going on underneath from the physical assault yet. But I knew that, okay, we're going to eventually get to the place where we're ready. You see, people are not going to break bad habits until we're ready. And so when we know we're ready, God will say, all right, let's do this. You know? So, tally it out. I have some rules. I set a time. That was one of the things. I'll get a little bit too celebratory, a little bit too early in the evening. So, I have to set a time and then set a limit. How many? Okay? And it has to be lower than, because I did this like I said, when I first landed in the hotel, I counted because I was curious. Because the Jezebel case study, her story full of holes, right? Okay, about what really happened and telling me how much was left in the container. And I was like, okay, yeah, something's not adding up. And so when I finally got here in this city and I was in a hotel, that's one of the first things I did is I tallied out what my usual, if you will, what my tolerance level was. So I'm using that baseline, okay? Because we got to get that tolerance level down. That's what happens when your body builds a dependency, a physical dependency on that, your tolerance level goes up. And so, I know about all of that from my forensic toxicology. I know you would think, well, since you know all of that, well, that's part of it. Why I'm like, I know that over time that can have a negative effect on the brain. So we are taking the necessary steps in the season where it's right to do this. And you start to get good at it. Okay, that's funny, Chris. But that's true. When you develop a higher tolerance for certain substances. So we have to be mindful of that. And so writing that down, writing down old beliefs about that substance. Whatever it is, old beliefs. Even for comfort eating as a bad habit, whatever your bad habit is, make up your mind that you're going to break it. Then, same thing for comfort eating. Get you a notebook. And set some rules. Like, for example, what time I'm not allowed. It's like we are taking responsibility, chosen one, we do that. Okay? And then disciplining ourselves and setting rules for ourselves. It's all part of it. And so the rule I set to quit smoking cigarette is I kept telling myself when I had like a half a carton left, I said, I'm not buying any more cartons. Then when I got down to about maybe 2 or 3 packs, somewhere in there, I had to start telling myself, okay, I'm not buying no more packs. Over and over and over again. That repetition. I tell myself that. And so I'm using the same concept for this bad habit to break it. And so I set a time, right? Now, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to buy. And it's just a matter of not doing it every day and in excess. The two things I just have to, And so when I landed at the hotel and I had my baseline, that's my limit. But we really want to go below that. I have goals. So there's the other tip. All right, let's recap again. Make up your mind to break bad habit. Get you a tally sheet, set some rules. Okay, set some rules and set a limit. So, set a limit. For comfort eating, that would be no more than 2 of those types of things in one day. Find out what your baseline is, like how often are you comfort eating? That's your baseline. And so you want to set a limit, and that would be your baseline. Okay, on how often you're doing it through the day for comfort eating. So, and then set some times. And then tally it out. Let's say you set a limit of, okay, and tally it out. Make sure you don't go over that. And, oh, this is some serious self-dedication and discipline. Because we have to do this to break bad habits. Now, for something, if you feel that you need to go and get some help from, let's say, a rehab center or what have you, you can do that too. Right? This is not a replacement for that if it's necessary. The reason I don't need it is because we've made up our mind, right? And our mind knows that we don't have to have that. Well, we've known that for a long time. It's just the physical body, our physical body, the biological side. We have to break the dependency for it. Okay? It's very different. I'm very aware. And so, and then you want to think about old belief systems about that bad habit that are in the subconscious. They'll come out, and then you have another separate notepad or a post-it note thingy or a notebook, however you want to do it. Write those old beliefs on that paper. And I put at the top, I said reminders. And it's taped right there in the cabinet that I open first thing. Not first thing in the morning, but to get my vitamin. So that's right there in my face. You see? Make sure you tape it to a place where you're going to see it regardless. And you will read it because you got to get it in, right? You got to purge that subconscious. So I don't need it to sleep anymore. And then I also have that it's not a necessity. Yeah, because, alcohol is not a necessity. That was one that I went, oh, that was in the subconscious, of course, because of the trauma coping method, right? At that time, the subconscious was saying this is a necessity to cope with this, right? Just like with the cigarette. So I said, okay, hold on a second. We got this. I said, all right, I got to get that out of the subconscious. It is not a necessity, and we know this. It's a want. It's another part of the needs versus wants. So remember that. Breaking bad habits really is a big part of the needs versus want assessment. So I have that, right? It's not okay. I don't need it to sleep anymore. It's not a necessity. It is not needed before or with dinner every night, or with dinner at all every day. It's not. And then fourth, it's not normal to drink every day like that. It's not normal. See, that's the other thing that was in my subconscious that God said, yep, remember, because I come from a family, on the mother's side, the Jezebel that gave birth to me. I come from that background to where it was normalized. And so in the subconscious, over the years, I went, oh, that's true. It's not normal. So I wrote that down. We got to get that out of the subconscious. And then finally, I don't need it to cope with trauma anymore. So those are the top 5 that came to my mind. And I said, oh, wow. Yeah, purging that subconscious. So there's it starts mental, right? Make up your mind to break the bad habit. Then you set some rules and a limit, tally out whatever it is, and then write down some old beliefs. It might take you a few minutes to access those old beliefs that are in the subconscious, but they're there. Just like I shared with you. The necessity one, and then it being normal. Wow. We got to get that out. And then we taped those 5 things right there on the cabinet where it's in my face and I'm going to be reading it. Every single time I go over there, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to know that that's what that is. Because we have repetition, right? Got to purge that subconscious of those old belief systems about that particular subject. And so we're going to do it. We're going to do it. There is no try. We're going to do it. Yep. Because when I was trying it before, before when I tried, it worked. It worked. And so I know this technique works. It's just a matter of now, get back to it, and we're going to reach those goals. So that's the other step. After you tape your little old belief system list to a place where it's going to be in your face, you're going to be forced to purge that subconscious. And because that's a big part of all of this. The bad habit that we picked up when we were around narcissists inside the matrix and stuff, because we thought it was normal. We realize now that it's not. And, right. So this is also part of combating radio frequencies for healthier living, because if you're comfort eating, for example, it's likely that you're getting excess salt and sugars that your body doesn't need or want. So in my case, the sugars. So even though it's considered a natural sugar, that's fine, but we're just getting a little too much of it, in my opinion, okay? It was just a couple past my limit, but still, that was enough to open my eyes and go, wait a second. So then we got to set goals, okay? I set goals throughout making up my mind that we're going to break this habit, but have them solidified, have the goals solidified, write them down even, okay? But chosen ones tend to have good memories, so we know what our goal is. So it's to not even reach our limit that we set, but to get below that so that we can see the abundance, right? Yeah, so that we can see the abundance of that even. And then to get it where we don't get into it every day, because we don't need to. And so I remember in undergrad, the Lord told me, he said, remember in undergrad, I had one day that I didn't touch any largely because I had an evening class. It was a 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. class. So that was my sociology class. So if I got home at 9:30, I was like, well, I'm not going to drink this late. I'm not going to start drinking. What? No. So, he said you can utilize that to get back on track to start reaching our goals. Because, we don't need it like that. But the physical body doesn't know that yet. So this is the stuff that we're going to do to break the physical body dependency on it. That's what it's all about. Because mentally, we know better. Like, hold on a second, because we made up our minds, said, and I made up my mind some time ago. I knew we were going to make it to this season at some point. And it's always at God's appointed time, and that is now. So if you're not ready to break a bad habit yet, just make note of it and know that God He'll bring you around to breaking it at His appointed time. So, yes, okay. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the comments. So thank you for your patience, Chris. While I got the how to break bad habits technique, I'm going to do a recap, okay, for those who are jumping in a little late, and then also for those who are catching this on the replay and had to go and grab a notepad and pen, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, right, okay. No, you're not interrupting. It's just thank you for your patience because I wanted to go ahead and get through that. But yeah, no. Um, right, I answered that earlier as far as the considering myself. No, I did not ever call myself that. Remember, what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Right, I've never called myself that. Mm-mm. Because mentally, we know we don't need it, but the physical body doesn't know that yet. So I gotta, right, that's why we're doing this. And for those who want to join us, we'll do it together. Okay, so yeah, key to breaking a physical dependency is realizing that the addiction is physical only. Exactly. See, that's the thing. All right. And then, right. And you can put your mind over matter and take control. That's what it's all about. Is you're taking that responsibility. You are taking control of your subconscious mind by purging it to break these bad habits. And so that's very true right there. Okay. It's a you got to realize it's a physical dependency at some point, because when you are healed, okay, when you're healed from the trauma, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically, you are reconnected in mind, body, and spirit. We shouldn't be needing any of that to cope anymore. So once that sinks in, you realize, because I was like, so why is it so, because it's habitual, right? So it becomes a habit. I said, okay, it's a habit now. It's a habit. That's all it is. So we got to break it. And I said, oh, I was like, why have we not got? Because the physical body has a dependency on it, not the spiritual or the mental. Yeah, I know. Let that sink in. But okay. You do have to want to break the habit 100%. And I have been wanting to break it since I got here. But it has to be God's appointed time. And so it takes about 3 weeks to break a habit. That would be about right. Because that's how long it took me by the time I got down to my last pack of cigarette. It took about 3 weeks because I had to do it mentally. Like, first, I'm not buying any more carton. And then next, I'm not buying any more packs. And then that last pack, right? That last pack, I said, this is it. No more after this. Repetition in the mind. So that would be, on average, it takes about that. So let's see how we do with that. So if you can get to the stage where you're, okay, right. If you get to the stage where you might be drinking as a calmer for situations like after a job interview. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Really, we shouldn't have that issue. We shouldn't be needing it as a calmer either. You know what I'm saying? Because that would mean it's still used as a coping method of some kind. So we really want to get away from that as far as how we think about it. That's another thing. Got to change how we think about that bad habit. Because what we used to think about that bad habit, it ain't true no more. Not in God's reality. We've learned that. It's just social influence, what we were taught, the trauma. Oh, yeah. All of that. And so, yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from with that, because it can be a little nerve-wracking going to a job interview, but we should be over that. You know what I'm saying? We should be over that part and be fine. Yeah, we really should be over any nervousness of job interviews as an adult. So if you are struggling with that, I suggest you do some more inner work. Tell yourself it's just a job interview. It's just a job interview. Right, and just hope for the best. And don't tell yourself anything negative. Don't say, well, what if? Don't play the what if game. So yeah. Okay, you celebrate with a cup of tea and a biscuit or 3. Speaking of bad habits, biscuits and cookies. Gotcha. Okay. So, right, if you're using the habit as a support crutch, once you no longer need the crutch, you're on your way to breaking the habit. Exactly. That's it. That's it right there. And that's pretty much where we're at. Is that I was like, I don't need it as a crutch. I don't need it to cope with anything anymore. So the tolerance, it goes up. And then, right, before you know that you're consuming more than you realize. So what are the triggers for comfort eating? Write that down. Because that's going to be different, I want to say, for each individual. Because different triggers will lead to that comfort eating. So that's between you and God. It could be anything. It could be anxiety. It could be, the list goes on. It could be just a thought, a sad thought, which is unfortunate, but I mean, you have those, but it can trigger, absolutely. It can trigger comfort eating, or just a sense of uncertainty. That can trigger comfort eating. Well, that sense of uncertainty can trigger a lot of bad habits. Yeah. So, that's between you and God. You're the only one who's going to be able to work out that salvation, because I don't know what triggers, unless you book a session and share them with me and we can work together to overcome them. But I don't know. I think it's different for everybody. You might share some of the same triggers, but it's going to be something different. So, no. Oh, okay, right. Do things that build your self-esteem to get close to Jesus. Low self-esteem makes people weaker. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, when you say, did I drink in the morning? All right, I will share. I did have a season of my life when I left the ex, right, when I left the ex-angry narcissist hubby. I had a downward spiral for a few years. Many of us have gone through that. Not all, glory be to God, but I did. I had and it was very short-lived, and I'm so grateful for that. But I did. I had the mindset of thinking that I had to have it first thing in the morning in order to function. So that particular season in my life, yeah. Okay, but we overcame that fairly quickly once God got us out of that season, and we realized we can't be doing that. So, right. And yeah, and we started to grow up a little more. I mean, I was younger. Okay, I was a lot younger. And it was just, well, I guess I had the mindset of, man, I didn't get to go have my party years. Now I can do it, right? That was the wrong mindset to have with that. But as of now, no. Okay, it is a, when everything's done for the day and I'm cooking dinner. See, that's what happened was, in the old environment, it got normalized to get ourselves a drink while cooking dinner and while eating dinner. That was just it was habitual. at that point. So, right. And so that, another place where God said we're going to get started on that too, is that we're going to get more discipline. First, we got to tally out, and we have to follow the rule. We have to follow the 1 hour rule. Okay? First, we have to follow the rule and tally out and not go over the limit. I don't even want to make it to the limit, to be honest with you. That's the thing, is that I don't even want to make it to that limit. I want to get, yeah. But I also know about the physical body and withdrawals too. And so we don't want to throw the body into shock. So it really is. I remember hearing a narcissist say that he did not understand the weaning off of certain substances in order to stop. I didn't say anything because I was getting my master's in toxicology, and I was not about to get into any kind of heated discussion with him about why we do that to stop abusing a substance. Yeah, I was not gonna, because I was learning about all the withdrawals and the side effects and things like that. So yeah, and I said, well, you don't want to put your body into a shock, because especially if you are detoxing, you do not want to. So basically, we have the first goal of following the rule and not going over the limit, hopefully not even reaching that limit. Okay. And right, just to be mindful and tally that out, and be mindful of that 1 hour rule. So in other words, if I've got one at, let's say, 5:30, and I happen to finish it at 6:15, I have to wait until 6:30. That's how disciplined we're being. That's right. I have to wait. I'm going to make myself wait. Okay? All part of changing that thinking to break that bad habit. And so that answers that. So, okay, so around males, there's a certain pride in that they can drink a lot more than their buddies. Oh gosh, yeah. Because of that spirit of competition. Yeah. Right. I think many of us did, Chris, as a teenager. I think we all kind of went on that. But after I left the hubby, right, I developed the wrong mindset. I thought, hey, I'm free now. I can live some party years. That was wrong. So, okay, because you found it worked to calm you down and open up more. Okay. Well, see, that's okay. Well, that would be a coping mechanism. No, what? Back and during that season in the morning. Oh no, I was on the heavy stuff. Yeah, called vodka. Whew. No, we got away from that. Oh gosh, yeah, we got away from that, and realized that, you know what? It just no, we don't do well with that at all. Okay, so right, discipline got to be. And okay, see, there you go. By weaning off the cigarette. And so pretty much that's what we got to do, because our body, our physical body, becomes so dependent on that substance that and so our subconscious, right, got programmed into thinking that, okay, so this is the norm. This is what we are so used to doing. But we realize it's not normal. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm being open and transparent with you all because I am human also. Okay, I'm a leader, yes, but that's why I wanted to invite whoever wants to come on this Breaking Bad Habit journey with me. Yeah, okay, that was, okay, a favorite drink in the evening. Okay, well, you know what? And that's fine. That's fine. Listen, that's why we don't judge nobody. All right? God's the one that does the judging. And so I'm just joyful that the season's finally here to where we're like, all right, that's it. We got to do this. We got to do this. It's time. And so let's do that quick recap for the how to break bad habits techniques here. So, that, Chris, was during the season of my downward spiral. Okay, that was during the season because let's just say it was what it was. I don't have regret. I'm just glad that we didn't stay there. You know what I'm saying? And we straightened up pretty good after enrolling in undergrad. That's what did it for me was, you know what? You want this college degree, you can't do that anymore. That's what did it for me. I was like, oh, okay, all right, we got this. But we still did in the evening pour ourselves a glass of wine or we would have a beer. But we stayed away from the liquor. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, let me tell you. Yeah. And so we just kind of grew and matured from there. But because of the habitual side of it, with dinner or in the evening, yeah. So that's where we're at now as to breaking that. And so, right, discipline of study is a great focus for the mind. Yeah, I mean, I said, you know what? I want that college degree. I cannot keep doing that. So that was enrolling in school was my wake-up call for that. So glory be to God. And so here we go. Brief recap. You got to make up your mind. Okay, you got to make up your mind that you want to break that habit. And then you want to get yourself a notepad, set a rule or two that you must follow, set a limit. Okay, set a limit, tally it out, then make yourself a list. Start thinking about, okay, what do we need to purge from the subconscious? What are old belief systems about that habit that we have learned are no longer true? And a big one is that it's not normal, okay? So, it's not a necessity and it's not normal. So those would definitely be the same for all of us. So, you put those down. And then whatever else you might have in the old belief system about that bad habit. Take that list and tape it, like I've got it on the kitchen cabinet door, right in my face. I force myself to see that thing every time I go over there until we get those old belief systems out of the subconscious mind. Then you got to set goals. You can even write those down in a notebook, however you do it. Set goals. So, for instance, my goal, okay, the first goal is to get that limit down. Okay? To get that limit down to make that last longer, I have, like, for example, 4 days, right? Okay, that's the first goal. Once we reach that, we'll set the second one. I mean, I've got several goals, but that's the main thing, to get that limit down, that number, and to get it down. So that's goal number one, is to get it down. And follow the 1 hour rule. No questions about it. No excuses. There's no reason to say, well, maybe just this time. No. Not going to do it. Not going to allow ourselves to even think that. And so a big part of it is breaking the association with celebrating. Okay, no matter how much better we feel, how much progress we're making in the detox process, it doesn't matter. We are not going to use that substance to celebrate. There's no reason to use it for celebrating. So if I feel that I want to celebrate with something, well, it should be a healthy food item or a let's just say a outing for lunch, because I do know that I don't need that to function. I don't need that while eating. So I guess you could say us going on our business lunches, knowing I'm like, yeah, I don't need. And I went to several places where there was a bar. So that's progress in and of itself. Yeah, I went to several pubs for lunch during business trips here and there. And I wasn't tempted. This is why I know I don't need it. But it's like I can go without it. We know this. Because I go to places where there's a bar and I don't. Especially during lunch, because I don't drink and drive anymore. Ever since that incident in 2011, been very adamant. Like, I don't care how adamant about that I was, but yeah, that even if I had one beer and my car needed to be moved, a non-drinker in the environment was going to have to move it. I wasn't even going to do it. I was not getting in that car to drive. That's how serious I was. And I still am. I will not drink and drive. That's just, that experience, woo! That was a very expensive experience. Let me tell you. And so, yeah. And that's basically it right there. And then just stick to it. Stay disciplined. Stay disciplined. You can do it, chosen one. Yes, you can. Well, yeah. There you go. There's a great tip right there. Thank you. Once you break the bad habit, you know you can do it. Exactly. And so you know you can break other habits. Once you break one bad habit, you know you can break other bad habits. Like, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of technique. And so I just gave y'all the basic fundamental techniques, tried and true, that work. And and get into some good habits that replace those bad habits. That's a great one right there. Absolutely. So a good habit, eating healthier. Right? Eating healthier. And then also, everyone has their main vice that can get a hold of them. And I think yours was alcohol in a season rather than that. And others, it may be some type of drug upper or downer. Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, mm-hmm. Oh, I sure did. I got a fine. I had to attend counseling, if you will. I had to, and then in order to drive again, I had to have that machine put in my car. I mean, I'm not going through that again, ever. No. Seriously, because it was expensive. And we're talking thousands of dollars. I also had to go to probation, check in. And I had to be tested every single time. And I was like, wow. Yeah, not an experience that you want to go through ever again. I'm going to tell y'all, seriously. But that was during the downward spiral in my life season. But glory be to God, we are past that. We got out of that. God delivered us from that. And man, an alcohol reader. It was like, because of the the laws of the land, there is a limit, a BAC limit, okay? And so the machine was a breath analyzer that would not allow your car to start if your BAC level was higher than the legal limit. Okay? So, yeah, that wasn't fun. That was not fun. But we got through it, you know? We got through it. And, so, during undergrad, we got through it. We sure did. When we started driving again. And so, a lot of things, that we go through in life are lessons. And so I'm just sharing this with you all because a lot of survivors of narcissist abuse, a lot of them had turned to things like that as coping mechanism. And I know another word with ism, so I like to say coping method instead. But that is a real thing. And so there always comes a time in our life where we know it's time to break them bad habits. And like we said earlier, when you do break one bad habit, you know you can do it again. And you will. Even if you have to try once or twice before you finally said, okay, that's it, we'll make it happen. Okay? So don't beat yourself up. All right? If you're going through it, you try it, and then it just doesn't seem to work out that first time, hang tight. Okay, hang tight. But keep an eye on yourself. Stay disciplined. Okay, at least try to stay disciplined. All right, and work out that salvation with the Heavenly Father. So, I know, and finding your self-esteem help you get over that season, absolutely. And I think that's a big part of it, is that when we've got our healthy level of self-confidence back and self-esteem back, we start to realize that, you know what? We just really don't, we don't need those things in the way that we once thought. That old belief system got to go out the window. Got to go out the window. And it's part of changing that thinking. All part of changing that thinking. So that wraps this one up. I want to say thank you, Chris, for sharing yours. And to all of you who share in the comments on the replay. And so, like I said, I'm being open and honest and transparent because I'm going on this journey and I'm inviting you all on it with me because it's time to break them bad habits. So when I asked God what today's message was, that's what he told me. He said, well, what are we doing? Breaking bad habit. A bad habit. Really is one of the final bad habits that I was like, but I remember learning that you don't want to break all your bad habits at the same time because you'll really throw yourself. You got to pick one. Like mine was the cigarette. We quit that. Then the vape. We quit that now. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. And you are welcome. Well, consuming too much social media could be considered a bad habit. So you have to figure out what you would consider too much versus just enough. Okay? So there you go. And you're welcome. You're very welcome for the habit breaking inspo and tips. There you go. That's what it's all about. I'm going to get up here and inspire you all to do the same. As I'm breaking a bad habit, I'm inspiring you all to do the same. That's what it's all about. Iron sharpening iron here at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. So, recognizing that that bad habit is a physical addiction and no longer a mental addiction, we got this. We got this. And so, yeah, social media can be very addictive. And so you want to be mindful of that as well. And these tips that I shared in here for breaking bad habit will work for breaking an overconsumption of social media as well. Okay, so those of you catch this on the replay, you're going to hear the tips being played out through the beginning. And then they're around the 48-minute mark. Okay, you're going to get a quick recap of the technique for breaking the bad habits. And as always, I encourage you all to check out the links below to learn more about this ministry and how it came to fruition. And I want to say thank you for your understanding and your patience. And also, chosen one, right, we're not judging nobody because that's not our job. So thank you again for your understanding. All right, everybody, sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.